Hey y'all, welcome back. I've got about $25 and I'm gonna head to the store and pick up all the ingredients I need to make 5 dinners, and they're gonna average about $5 each. So you can definitely pick and choose which ones you wanna make if you don't want to do all the recipes. So this could be great for singles, for couples, or families, of course. And I think you're gonna really love these tips and tricks, and the recipes are some of my favorites. So let's get to the store and get shopping. Here is my list today. I've got quite a few things I need to shop for, and some of them I already have on hand, so I'm just going to show you the prices of the things if I were to buy them today, so that way you can budget accordingly. Let's get started. First thing I want to do is go look at the chicken. I believe it is on sale, $1.49. On the skinless chicken leg meat. So this must be the one here from the ad. Oh yeah, okay. $6.70 for this one. Perfect. And bell peppers are on sale for 95 cents for 3, but I have a ton in the freezer. But I could get them for either 95 cents or $2.79 if I want multicolor. And I have a whole bag of onions at home, but they are $1.89 for sweet onions. I'm only going to be using a couple this week. There it is, the iceberg, $1.89. Let's get one of those today. I love iceberg lettuce. Look for one that looks really good and is nice and large. Oh, this one looks really good. Now I need zucchini, $1.39 a pound. Let's see if we can find some that are not super wet. I'm gonna make more zucchini boats, but this time a little bit different. Okay, I'm just gonna get these ones. Next, I want to get some salsa. So many things I can do with salsa. It's one of the best tools that I like to use for budget-friendly meals. I like this medium one for $2.29. Let's get one from the back here. Check the lid. Looks good. $2.29 for that. They also have organic for $2.65. Long grain rice is $1.69. Oh, and this is for 2 pounds. That's a really good deal. That's probably what I would buy if I needed rice, but I have a ton at home. Now I need tostadas, $1.79. Here we go. I could make them myself, but I don't want to. Okay, next is ground turkey, $2.75 for a pound, and frozen corn for $1.15. Okay, a block of cheddar for $3.79, 16 ounces here. Oh no, Wisconsin sharp, that's even better. Oh, no, I'm making a mess. No, get back up there. Dry black beans are $2.85 for 2 pounds. Normally I would get these or go to the Dollar Tree and get a pound for $1.25, but I have a ton. Actually, you know what? I think I'll go ahead and just get a bag here of this. But normally I would probably just get one from Dollar Tree if I only needed a pound. But that's not bad, $2.85 for 2 pounds. So the total for all these ingredients ended up being about $23, and depending on the deals and where I shop, it could be up to $28 normally. When I get home, I always soak my beans for 8 hours in about 8 cups of water. Then I'll strain it, add it to a pot, add new water, some onion powder, some salt, and this time I had garlic cloves on hand, but you can just use garlic powder if that's what you have. Then I just let that simmer without covering it for about 75 to 90 minutes or until I can easily smash the beans. Then I smash the garlic and just get that a good mix. If all you have is salt, that's fine too. You don't have to add all the extra seasonings. It's not that big of a deal. Then I'm going to go ahead and prep all my chicken. This time I'm using the Instant Pot because it's just a little bit less messy and a little faster. I was trying to brown some of my chicken here first using the saute mode, but it didn't really work out that great because I overcrowded. And honestly, this is the first time I was working with this type of chicken. I do this often where I buy things that are on sale and just kind of wing it. I seasoned with salt, pepper, paprika, and garlic powder because those are my favorite seasonings for chicken, but you can use whatever you like. Of course, you can cook this in the oven or on the stovetop in a pan. I'm just going to cook it all the way through here, and if you use your Instant Pot, you can just put all the chicken in there with your seasonings and add about 1 cup to 2 cups of water or broth, whatever you have, and then just cook it on normal pressure for 12 to 15 minutes, and then just allow that to natural release for at least 10 minutes. And then I'm just going to shred all this chicken, of course, save that broth. That broth is going to be great for the rice here in a minute. And you can also skim the fat off the top, which I'll show you in a second. Now I've separated my chicken so it's easy for the week to just grab and go. I've got a few whole pieces and some shredded pieces too. So you can see the fat has separated here in the broth. I'm just going to go ahead and spoon that out. You can leave it in the refrigerator to solidify longer. It's easier to do that, but I was in a hurry. I just wanted to kind of get this rice started, prep everything for the week, because once everything is prepped, then I don't have to worry about it later on. I can just grab everything and throw it together. So there is the fat. You can use that to cook with it later on instead of oil. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the rice. I've rinsed the rice and then added all of that chicken broth. I added a little bit of water to make sure I had enough liquid for all this rice. And then I just cooked it as normal rice. And look how delicious. This was some of the best rice we had. My daughter said it was the best. Now, while everything was cooking in the Instant Pot and on the stove, I went ahead and prepped my veggies. So I'm going to start by shredding my lettuce here. You can either chop it or shred it, but my favorite way is to knock out the core there on the cutting board and then just give it a slice in half and then again slice it into shreds. For this meal plan, for these 5 recipes for the week, I did a couple different things with the lettuce. So I went ahead and shredded half and then I chopped the other half. Always wash your produce too. Make sure you get a salad spinner or something like that. If you're going to be doing a lot of lettuce, I highly recommend it. They don't cost a ton of money and make a big difference in how that just gets really crispy and fresh and really delicious, and it keeps really well in this container too. I'm just going to go ahead and separate it first for a minute so I can wash my chopped lettuce separately. That's why I'm doing it this way, and that way I can get it nice and washed, and then I'll add everything back into the spinner. I like to just keep the whole spinner in the refrigerator because it creates great airflow and keeps everything nice and dry and cool and crisp and really, really delicious. So I like to prep all of my veggies in advance. So I like to chop the whole onion and just any veggies that I picked up. I really like to do this at the beginning of the week. Most veggies last 3 to 5 days in the refrigerator, but always just pay attention to signs of spoilage. And of course, you can always throw things in the freezer, except for the lettuce, of course, but chopped onions do really well in the freezer. Just put them in an airtight container and throw them in the freezer, and you can pull them straight from the freezer to cook with. So I'm just going to dice my onion though and keep this in the refrigerator because I'm only cooking for 5 days, and I like to keep my onions for up to 5 days as long as there's no signs of spoilage or anything like that. And again, I'll do this for carrots or celery, any of the veggies that I happen to pick up if they need dicing and things like that. It just makes it so much easier. Now I'm going to go ahead and shred the cheese too for the week. Again, another just little quick thing that I can do while I've got all of these dishes out and I've already got all the prepping going on, and I just keep that in an airtight container in the refrigerator. With rice, be really careful as soon as it's done cooking. Get it into some shallow containers, put a big spoon in it, and put it in the refrigerator so it cools very quickly. If you're not using the rice within 3 days, make sure you put it in the freezer. You can definitely just thaw it out straight from the freezer and it really holds well. So just be careful with your rice. Now I'm making the Southwestern chicken and rice casserole first because it is a freezer meal. In the casserole dish, I'm just adding my cooked rice, black beans, corn, cooked chicken, salsa, cumin, and giving that a good mix. And I have used canned corn for this, frozen corn, fresh corn, different beans, different salsas. It always comes out really good. So just use your favorite things for this. Once it's mixed, you can put your favorite cheese on top. And this is great as a freezer meal that you can just put straight in the oven. Now, if you're using glass, though, make sure you do thaw it out for about 8 hours in the refrigerator at least to make sure it's not completely frozen before you put it in the oven. If you're using foil containers, you can just put it right in the oven from the freezer. Now, next, I'm going to be making some refried beans here to go with my tostadas. And you don't have to do that. You can just mash the beans or just use the black beans as is. But right now, I just felt like having a refried bean. So after my beans finished cooking, I just did this right afterwards in a pan right next to it. So I just heated some oil, some cumin, and then added some beans, just the portion I wanted for tostadas, and a little bit of the bean broth, and then just mashed it with a potato masher and just add a little more broth and keep mashing until you get the consistency that you like. And this is how you make refried beans with any kind of beans. So super fast, just really flavorful and easy. Add any seasonings that you want, and then again, refrigerate that in an airtight container until you're ready to use it. So on that first night, I just made tostadas because it's very fast. Everyone can make their own. We already did all of that prep, so we're ready for the entire week now. So I just took a tostada shell, added those beans, some cooked chicken, cheese, salsa, and a whole bunch of lettuce. I love to just pile that on. Add any toppings that you like though, and that's it for that dinner. This next dinner idea is just a really, really easy reheat and put it on a plate dinner. But I'm going to go ahead and turn those black beans into something different tonight, just so we can keep things a little bit interesting, but you certainly don't have to. I just sauteed some onions and cumin and added some beans with the bean broth and just sauteed that until it was nice and cooked through and the onions were soft and all that jazz. And then I just added some of the cooked chicken on the side with a little bit of the rice that I reheated and some lettuce for a nice little salad. You can add dressing to the lettuce, anything you have on hand. You can even just do oil and vinegar or lemon juice. I just had my lettuce dry because that's how I like it. And that's it, a super easy dinner. Don't you just love that? I do. Now next, I'm going to be making some taco stuffed zucchini boats. These are so, so good. You can see I'm testing my stainless steel pan using the mercury ball test. Again, you just throw water on it, and if it just glides around in little balls, it's hot enough to add your oil. So I added my oil, turned down the heat a bit, and then I added that ground turkey. Now here is another little prep tip for you. Just brown all of that meat all at once, which is what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and season it the same, but I'm going to be saving half of this meat for next night's meal. So this is just another one of those ways that I kind of do things in advance so I don't have to work as hard all week. And I'm going to be seasoning it with some taco seasoning and a little bit of garlic powder, but you can use any seasoning that you like. And I just make sure that I get that meat browned and a little bit crispy before I flip it. And then I'll just cook that all the way through, breaking it as I go and adding more seasoning. I make my own taco seasoning, and I'm going to put that recipe in the blog post for you so you can check that out. You can really just modify it and make it your own. I like to do low sodium, so that's why I like to make my own, but you can just grab a packet if you like. Mrs. Dash makes a really good taco seasoning too, and that also contains no sodium. So whatever, whatever you want. I love to make seasonings because I already have so many on hand. I just throw them together. So once that's all cooked through, I'm just going to save half of this meat mixture for the following night before I continue cooking the rest of the meat mixture for the taco stuffed zucchini boats. I'm going to add onions at this point. You can add as much or as little as you like. I'm just going to add about a half a cup or so to this mixture, and I'll just saute that until all the onions are nice and soft. Now, I do want to mention that you can make this a vegetarian dish as well by using crumbled tofu. You can check out my last meal plan video, and I show you my favorite way to crumble tofu if you'd like to see that. And in the meantime, while we're making our protein, I'm going to go ahead and line the bottom of a casserole dish with just a little bit of salsa. It adds more flavor and prevents things from sticking. And then we're going to go ahead and slice our zucchinis to make the zucchini boats. So I just like to cut them in half if they're relatively large zucchinis, and then cut them in half again. And once we're done with that, we'll just use a spoon and scoop out the center. We are going to be saving all that flesh though, so don't throw that in the trash. You want to make sure that you are saving that because we're just going to chop it up really finely and add it back to the meat mixture to heat it up and get it all cooked through so we can add it into the filling. And it really helps make everything stretch too, and it really is delicious, that sweet flesh on the inside of the zucchini. Don't skip this. Make sure you save it. Now with the tops of the zucchini and the bottoms of the zucchini, you can also save that for later to make a vegetable broth. So just throw those in a bag in the freezer for later. And if you have extra zucchini that doesn't fit, of course, you can just slice it and add it to the casserole dish like I did. Absolutely nothing goes to waste in this meal. So again, we're adding the flesh back to the pan here and making it nice and heated through. It only takes a couple of minutes or so. And this also helps deglaze the pan because there's a little bit of moisture there in the zucchini. So you'll see that all that yummy, delicious flavor that was stuck to the bottom of the pan will now lift up. And I'll add my rice and my salsa. And again, if you're doing vegetarian, of course, you're not going to use chicken broth in your rice. So that's just a note, but just mix it all up until it's nice and heated through. And when you're cooking this, you'll notice that it seems like a lot of filling. So this dish actually could be 6 servings depending on how much your family eats. So it's 4 to 6 servings for this. And if you're a single person, you can actually just make everything up to this point and freeze it in portions if you like, instead of baking it. So I love this dish. It's very versatile and it's so, so delicious and just easy to make and a lot of flavor. So after I add the filling to the top of those zucchinis, I'm going to top all of that with some cheese, and then I will cover it and just cook it at at 350 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes or more. If you like your zucchini to be really soft, you can continue to cook until it's nice and tender. But I like mine to have a bite, so I just make sure I do 30 minutes or so, and it comes out perfect every single time. And if you want the cheese to be crispy, you can remove the foil and put it back in for 5 minutes if you like, but I like it just like this. And I like to top mine with some sour cream or Greek yogurt and a little bit of hot sauce. And I have fresh cilantro from my garden, so I like to just add that for a little bit of color, a little freshness, but you can definitely top it with anything you love or serve it as is. You have got to try this one. It is so, so good. This last dinner idea is bell pepper nachos, and I'm just pulling some bell peppers out of my freezer. I just put them in the freezer whole, just like this. Then when I'm ready to use them, I just rinse them off, set them on the cutting board for about 10 to 15 minutes, just until they're thawed enough to slice. And then I just slice them up on the top end like this, so you can see it's just a little bit easier to slice them, and it's a lot faster, and you end up with a little Christmas tree at the end there, as Gordon Ramsay says. And then I'm just going to add those to a bowl, because I'm making these little nacho wedges, but you can make them as big or as small as you want, however you like it. And also you can use any color bell pepper that you want. Green bell peppers work perfectly fine for this, so use whatever. You can find whatever you love. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some avocado oil. You can use vegetable oil, any oil really, olive oil, whatever you have. Then just season it. The seasonings are so, so important. You're going to add a bunch of cumin, chili powder, and garlic powder for this. Some salt and pepper too, if you like. This time I didn't add any salt and pepper, and it was really delicious like that too. So whatever you want to add, but I would say about a teaspoon of cumin, teaspoon of chili powder, and a half a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and get your hands in there. You really got to get into the crevices here of the bell peppers and place them on a baking sheet to bake for about 10 minutes at 425. And in the meantime, we're going to reheat that meat that we cooked the night before and add the beans we already portioned out, and we're just going to heat that through in a pan. This is so, so easy. This is one reason why I love this dish, because it really comes together so fast. And now I'm going to stir in some taco seasoning and some water and just add extra flavor here. Of course, you know that we've already seasoned the meat with taco seasoning, but I want a ton of flavor in this dish, so I'm adding more, but it's up to you. Now I'm going to let that water reduce for about 5 to 10 minutes until the bell peppers are done in the oven. And if you're using frozen bell peppers, you may need to blot with a paper towel when they come out of the oven, because they will release a little bit of water, but it's totally fine. They're still going to be nice and crispy and delicious. Then add your filling on top into the nachos there, and then add some cheese before you pop it back in the oven for about 10 more minutes until the cheese is melty and those bell peppers are nice and cooked through to your liking. If you want them to be softer, of course, you can leave them a little longer. Just keep an eye on the cheese and make sure it doesn't burn. And that's it. Look how delicious. I just add a little bit of Greek yogurt, some salsa, hot sauce, and if I have any avocado, I'll add that on top, and that's it for this dish. I hope you love those recipes and at least got some ideas for things to make in your home. Of course, if you make anything, I would love to hear what you thought, and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do so now, because I've got lots of meal plans coming your way and recipes and fun tips and tricks on saving money on groceries and just all of that jazz. Of course, everything is on my blog at wholeandhappyliving.com. You can find my recipes, printable grocery list. Everything is over there nice and neat and tidy for you. So go check that out. The link is down in the description or in my link tree at all times. And of course, I'll see you in the next video. Check out some of these other meal plan videos or other recipes if you want some more ideas. I'll see you next time. Bye.